What's up, man?
Hey, another week.
Another week.
We, we survived another week.
We survived another week, and we survived a little technical, a little audio technical issue.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you because I want to know how your week was. Because this was technically our first week back.
Yeah.
So what happened? What was going on? How was your interaction with the kids?
It was pretty good. So I had a I just did like live office hours and said, "Hey, I'm going to be on, Google Meets from this time to this time. I'd love for you to check in with me. If you want to, no pressure to do that." Actually, that was the second thing. Um, I did a I did one for like all my kids to check in, and I had, I guess that was on, day was that Tuesday, I guess. Did that on Tuesday. Had everybody check in, um, or everybody who was able to do that, and I had about 70, somewhere between 60 and 70 students be able to check in uh, on Google Meet, and that was great. And then
That's
on
awesome.
Thursday, I had on Thursday I did like the kind of the open door office hours on Google Meets, and just had people you know sign on and just shoot the breeze for a little bit, if they wanted to. I had some work to do, and so I just like opened my laptop and signed on and posted the link for people. I had about 5 kids who stayed like the whole time, and
Yeah.
it was just like, I mean, it's just good. It's just good to see people
Right?
and that I don't live with. You know,
Exactly.
I love those people that I live with, but we're kind of getting tired of seeing each other. So,
I feel that.
but that was good. I had another Google form for them to fill out, and so it was good. It went pretty well, and I had, I don't know, that email that they sent out with that list of all the students, and they wanted us to go in and write down our name next to the kids that we had talked to. um, there were a handful that were on that list that I'd spoken with, or who had emailed me or checked in through Google Classroom, or had shown up to the Google Hangout that I'd had early last week. So, um, I feel like everybody's doing the best they can,
Oh yeah.
and so, yeah. What about you?
Same, pretty much. I was just kind of like every day I was just like, hey, check in with me, see how you're doing, see what's going on. Um, I didn't have as many check-in on the Google Hangouts. I probably had about maybe 20 or so kids on the Google Hangouts. But I did have more people fill out that survey.
Yeah.
And what level do you teach? You teach freshmen, right? Or no?
No, I've got seniors.
Oh, you got
I've got
seniors?
seniors. Yeah, because I've got AP Lit.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. I don't
Hmm.
know why I kept thinking freshmen. Okay, so yeah,
It's
but
okay.
yeah, I had the survey filled. Well, I had made one already, kind of like pseudo one. But yeah, but like kind of like what you're saying, just checking in, see how you're doing, see if you're
Yeah.
alive, you know, just what's going on, shooting the breeze, just to kind of like reconnect with their. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's basically back to square one. I mean, we're
Yeah.
like we're starting all over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 So, I mean,
But
it
how was
was
your?
it was good.
It was good. How'd you feel about it though? How was your? I mean, what was your impression? What was your vibe? Like, what were you picking up on, or what was like, I don't know, anything memorable, anything that stuck out to you?
You know, I I think that, it's almost it's kind of strange that it's almost harder for students to like hide on one of those video chats than it is for them to like hide in the classroom, because like I see you're here, right? Like, so can you hear me? No, my microphone doesn't work. And they're like chatting. So I'm like chatting, with a couple kids while a few others are like talking. And I'm just like going in and I'm just like writing down or highlighting my spreadsheet for like who's there, who's showing up. And then like, hey, Chelsea, check in. Hey, Mr. Clarke, how's it going? Oh, I'm fine. And then, I had two questions for him when they were checking in through the video chat. And that was, how are you? And what do you need? And,
Nice.
a few of them were, like, Mr. Clarke, this is kind of creepy because I can hear other people's responses. And I'm like, well, then don't say anything creepy, just be like, hey, I'm good. And then email me and say, hey, this is what's going on. Um, so, I mean, I think it's just it's the learning curve, right? Like whenever you
Oh yeah.
start something that you've like never really done that much before, I mean, it's like, it's awkward because you're like trying to figure it out. And I'm like, wow, what can I do, with this, or how do I work that? Or like, what does this, function do for the chat? Like, it's just, there's just a really big learning curve for all of us.
Oh yeah.
So there was a few, there was a few awkward moments when like students were like, I'm okay. I'm like, okay, all right, well, let me know. Um, but for the most part, my students, I mean, at least, I mean, unless they were lying, I mean, my students, the ones who checked in, were like, hey, you know, I'm doing okay. This is weird. This is kind of hard. But I didn't have any conversations where there were like, red flags or like alarm bells or, something like that going off. So, this week we're doing a discussion, um, over a book that we're reading. So, and we're gonna do like a A-day hour and like a B-day hour. We're doing it on the same day. So like A-day students will do the discussion from like 12 to 1, and then B-day students will do it from like 1 to 2. And then I'll just record it and put each one of those links, in all their Google Classrooms. um so we'll see. And I think that in that, like, just having the functionality of like the chat feature, because I had a good amount of kids who's like, were on a laptop and they didn't have like a camera, or
Mhm.
they didn't have like a microphone access, or something like that. So they were like in the messaging part of that, which I thought was really helpful because that also gets recorded too.
Yeah.
um so, I mean, I think that as we start using these things, it's just we're gonna be a lot more comfortable with it,
Oh yeah.
as it goes. So yeah,
It sounds like you were doing pretty good with it. I mean, it sounds like you were. I mean, you like you said, it's just a learning curve, and we're just kind of rolling with it, and good to
yeah,
see the kids. I was just happy to see them, honestly. I was just
yeah.
like, "Hey, you showed up!" Like,
Like, yeah,
"Hey, you're alive. You showed up. You're
yeah.
here."
I'm telling you, man, you just put that bar on the ground. You're just like,
I,
just lower the bar, just lower the bar. Yeah,
okay.
because my children, they are in the neighboring district to our west. um,
Okay.
and so
Right.
they got dude, they had uh, um, one of my sons in our neighborhood school had, I mean, he had like 6 things to do like that first day, and I was like, and he was like overwhelmed, and I was like, pick one. He was
Yeah.
like, but there's 6, and I was like, I know there's 6. Which one do you want to do? And he was like, um, well, what about the other ones? I was like, we're not going to worry about the other ones.
Right.
He was like, and he was really worried. Um, and so, I mean, we talked through that, and we were like, hey, 6 is not realistic. Y'all haven't ever done this.
Right.
So do the one that you want to do, that you feel comfortable with, and we'll just do that one. You just
Mm-hmm.
do a good job on that one, and that'll be that for today. And he was like, oh, okay. And he was really nervous about it, but there was like a video conference call, on Thursday of last week with his teachers, and I mean, we told them, my wife told them, was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And they were like, well, I mean, we understand, and we just want for the kids to stay busy with this, and which I get, but on the other hand, it's like he's in 4th grade.
Oh,
Like,
jeez.
why are,
God.
like if you're assigning a school day's worth of work to him at home, I mean, my kid's problem is that, like, he's a people pleaser, so he wants to do it. He
Right.
wants to do really well on it, right?
Right.
He like can't fathom this whole like, don't do that work, do this other work, because he just sees all of it. He's like, I have to do all of it, and I'm like, no, no, you don't. This is not gonna reflect poorly on you. This is just like, this is what we can manage right
Right.
now. And so I think this is like a really good, and I know that probably some parents are doing it, and I wish that we could do it for all of our kids, but man, this is a perfect time to teach kids to set boundaries,
Oh.
and just say, you know
Oh,
what,
yeah.
no, I'm not going to do that. I can do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do it well, or I want to pick a thing that like makes sense to me, and work on that.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I think that I mean, that's what we're doing. We're going to be setting boundaries and saying, okay, here's our school time during weekdays, and if you get done with this assignment in 20 minutes, and you do a good job, and you complete all the steps, that's it. Then you've earned an extra 40 minutes.
Right.
But we're not gonna be breaking our backs to do all the stuff that isn't getting done because school's not in. I don't have time for that. They don't have time for that, right? Like, I mean, and that's, I saw something, it was like today or yesterday, and I was like, that's really true, right? Like this is not homeschooling, right?
No,
Like this
no,
is
no, no, no,
this
no,
is
no.
this is pandemic schooling.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, like
No,
like
you're right.
I mean, this is like not like I'm not a homeschool parent. My
No.
wife is not a homeschool parent. The
Right.
vast majority of the people facing this are not homeschool parents,
Right.
right? Like we're right now surviving,
Yeah.
and that's honestly our only job,
Yeah.
right? Is like survive and stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like that's full stop. Anything over that, anything beyond that, like that's gravy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I just see and like hear like all this tension that people have wrapped up around like, well, what about the students? What about the students? Well, my thing is like, well, what about the students? Right? Because the students are people too. They're dealing with this too. Like, why don't we like kind of lift some burdens off of people right now instead of crushing them under the weight of having to do the rest of the school year at home?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that, you know, we do a huge disservice to our students when when their entire world has been, and everyone's has been like flipped upside down, and then, you know, schools or school districts say, well, we're just gonna keep going, right? We're just gonna power through,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, I mean, you're gonna do more harm than good.
Or at least, if we're gonna power through, we're gonna be graceful about it, and we're gonna not crush you with 7,000 assignments a day and expect you to turn it in. like, like, like I
Right.
understand. I understand. You know, let's try to keep going somewhat. But like you said, I think that boils down to just understanding the severity of the situation. I really
Yeah.
do think people are just like, well, I'm home and it sucks, and you know, I gotta watch Netflix. Like, no, dude, we're literally trying to avoid to like, this is like serious. Like, have
Yeah.
you not watched Outbreak? Like, like, am I the only one that read Hot Zone? Like
Yeah,
this
man.
stuff, like this stuff, this is Hollywood stuff in real life, and we're trying to like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's
Yeah. It's like my anxiety never prepared me for this scenario. You know, like,
oh man, that's a quote right there.
just, you know, it's I can't take credit for it. It was a tweet that I saw,
Oh, that's so good
um
though.
but yeah, it's like, I mean, we're I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, it's tough.
It is
It's
tough.
just, it's really tough. And uh I think that it's times like this where it's like, where it's easy to lose sight of like what's most important because you're trying to do what is the most normal.
Right.
And that there's like a window there that you can totally miss what's important by pursuing what's normal, right? In the interest, and that's just like white knuckling, and that's all from fear, right?
Right.
Like, you know, like, why are people buying all the toilet paper? Well, they're scared, right? Like, why are people now all wearing masks to the grocery store? Well, they're scared, right? Like, why are the teachers sending out, you know, full day lessons? Well, they're scared, right?
Right.
Like all of this stuff right now is being driven by fear. And I think that, you know, a huge part of that is that, I mean, we just don't know, right? Because there's a lot of things that we don't feel like are being accurately shared with us,
Right.
right? And in order, I mean, I said it last week at this same time, like, I really believe that people can handle literally anything if they know that it's coming,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right? And so if people can't handle the truth, it's only because they've been blindsided by it.
Exactly. And they weren't prepared for it, or they weren't even
Yeah.
given the opportunity to digest it properly to make sense
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. So,
No, I totally agree, man. Those are awesome points. And I think it's kind of like what you said. You lose sight. You let that fear take over, and you lose sight of what's important. Instead of just saying, "Hey, you know what? I have to accept the situation that I'm in," and instead of trying to say, "Okay, you know, I just want everything to go back to normal." Well, guess what, dude? Like that's gone. Like there's no
yep.
going back. Like we can't go
Right.
back to a normal anymore. Like that's over. Like those days are gone. Like, we have to adjust
Right.
to this new reality. And the quicker we do that, the quicker we say, "Hey, this is gonna be the new norm," or we say, "Okay, how can we adjust to this new situation the best way we can with a little bit of kindness and a little bit of grace and just like you said, power through it." And like what you're talking about, where you're like, no, I'm not going to do the one, I'm not going to do the 6 assignments. We're only going to do the one because right now our priorities are just completely, not the way they used to be. And that's okay for right now,
Right.
you know, for us to just get through this situation. We just got to
Yep.
be, you just got to be plugged into that, we just got to be plugged
Yep.
in. And I think you're doing that, well, I think we're all trying to at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all it is like,
Mm.
I mean, we've we've gone from, you know, being really motivated by accomplishment, and I think that's why people are having a really hard time is
Oh,
like we've got this society that's built around the idea of like American individualism, that like, oh well, I can do this if I work hard, I can, have what I want if I take step, A, B, and C, and all of that has been, I mean, all that right now is paralyzed, right? So you have a bunch of people who are sitting at home just like wanting, like wanting to be productive and like not really being able to, and that messes with your head,
yeah,
and like you can't really expect the same level of productivity from your life in a situation where your life has totally had to change, right? Like you're gonna
wow,
like that's gonna take a nosedive, like your productivity is going to be impacted by the transitioning of like coming around to like what's normal now,
yeah,
right? And so that, I mean, that's very frustrating. I mean, that's frustrating for me. I
yeah,
think it's probably frustrating for a lot of people, where you're like, oh, I have like all this time, like what do I do with it, right? Do I finish Netflix, or do I like do this stuff in my yard that I've never had time to? Do I like, play with my kids? Do I write lesson plans? I mean, like, and that's the thing, that I think that people a lot of times don't realize, especially parents, right? Is that you can only be, um, you can only be a productive parent or an engaged parent. You can't do both at the same time,
hmm,
right? Like if I'm going to engage with my kids, I can't be productive. I can't be doing the dishes and the laundry and like cleaning up and picking things up and planning for meals and stuff like that. If I want to engage with my kids, I've got to put my phone down. I've got to stop what I'm doing and be with my kids, right? And it's true the other way too, right? Like if I want to be productive, then I've got to draw some boundaries with my kids. I got to be like, hey, right now I know I'm home, but like this is dad's work time. So I need you to leave the room, and I need, I'm going to set a timer, and then you can come check on me when the timer's over. Like, and then I can get stuff done for school or whatever. Right. But like, you can't be an engaged parent and a productive parent at the same time.
hmm,
You can't. So I think that like people are struggling right now with like, should I be productive because I have this time and my anxiety won't let me rest, or do I spend time engaging, right, with my family, with my kids, right? Something that we're literally not used to doing during the week, except for in like between the time they get home from school and they get put to bed.
Right, where we totally micro that, like that's all in micro
Yeah,
doses. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So I think that
interesting.
I think that that's one of the ways in which a lot of people are struggling is like trying to juggle that balance, right? And there's multiple times a day where I'm a productive parent or I'm an engaged parent, right? But those are never the same time, right? Like even if like I tell my kids like I'm going to do chores right now, you're going to do chores right now. Here's the chores you're going to do. Here's the chores I'm going to do. I mean, my kids are like, I don't know, I was like this when I was in high school, so maybe it never changes, but like I've got to check on that, right? Like I have to check their
Oh
productivity,
yeah, you do. For sure.
right? Like
Yeah,
the
you're
only
not.
way that I can be engaged with my kids is being engaged about their productivity. No, you're playing with your Minecraft figurines. Like, no, you're not cleaning your room. Like you're doing this, or you're reading about Pokemon or whatever, right? Like that's
Yeah.
not what I told you to do, right? Like we've got time for that in the schedule, but that's not right now. And so, I mean, it's just everybody's trying to juggle the new balance, and that's and transitions are hard, right?
Oh,
Like doing something new or doing something a new way or changing a routine, it's hard. It's
and
hard to do that.
and not only the transitions, but also the expectations, because you
Yeah,
know what you think. Well, especially like in our situation, what you think it should look like, what it
right,
actually looks like, and they're never, that cognitive dissonance right now is like strong. Like we're all just trying to figure out like what are we gonna do? Like how are we gonna figure this out?
right.
And you know that's yeah, man, that's legit. That's legit. You're
Yeah.
100% right on that. It's tough.
So
We're gonna
it
get
is,
through it
man.
though. I mean,
We
this is
will. We can do hard things.
just like you
We
said
can
last
do hard
week.
things. Yeah. Well,
Just
we
like you
can. I
said.
mean, yeah. I had to tell my kids that today about laundry. They're like, I don't want to do laundry. It's hard. The clothes are heavy. I know. I know. But you're strong and you can do hard things.
I love
That's
it.
it, man.
Well, this week you do the hard things you got to take care of. I'll do the hard things I got to take care of. Hopefully, we'll have some help. But I love what you said between being engaged and productive. I wonder if we need to change what we define as productive, though. Because is it being engaged productive in a sense, or
Well, I think that's measured by the outcome. Like, what do you want? Right? Like, what do you want the outcome to be? Right? Like, if the outcome of like me being an engaged parent is, or like being productive in my engagement, well, then that means that like I've got a stronger relationship with my kids at the end of it, right? But that's like hard to quantify, right? Like
yeah, true, true.
that's much more difficult than being able to look down and see that I've finished doing the laundry for the umpteenth time this week, because laundry and dishes never take a break.
They never take a break.
Dude, hate them. Hate them. I hate them. I hate them. But like they have to be done, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got to eat. We all keep eating, right? Even in quarantine, even with
That,
rationed and stockpiled stuff, like people still want to eat. Like, like, do my kids eat this much at school? Like, I'm gonna need you to use your school stomach, because I just got paid and I can't afford that.
I
So
know. I feel that.
yeah, those things. I mean, they always come around. So, I think that like is it how do we measure productivity or how do we measure engagement? I think is really based on like what's our motivation and then what's our outcome, right? Like if because if I'm not motivated to connect with my kids, they're gonna see through that, right? And when they get older, they're gonna call me on it, right? And that's why our teenagers at school, I mean, they see through the BS,
Oh.
right? Like they know which teachers, are, don't value their time with them,
Oh yeah,
right? Like we know that, and like we know that there's a ton that do, and we're really fortunate to work at a school where most of us do, right? and
100%,
and
100%.
I think that the new shift in leadership is a huge deal as well. But I think that those two things, the motivation and what we want for the outcome, are the real factors in what determines whether or not our engagement or our productivity are worth the time that we spend on them.
That's awesome.
So,
Well,
all right, well, I'm going to leave you with that.
yeah.
And
No,
then
yeah.
also, wait for it.
Oh, what happened? What?
Uh,
What?
Quarantine, man. Yeah,
Quarantine haircut. Holy cow,
yeah,
dude. What is
yeah.
that? Number
I
three?
call it that's a four. Call it
Four?
the COVID cut.
Well, don't lose the coat. Don't lose the beard. You could.
You wouldn't recognize me.
I
You
probably
wouldn't
wouldn't.
recognize me.
I wouldn't.
Mm-mm.
I totally
No, I
wouldn't.
would look like a giant 12-year-old. Just like this 6'5", 240 tattooed 12-year-old. Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
It'd be
Hey,
crazy.
motivate yourself to an awesome week.
All right, you
Okay.
do the same, man.
All right. Take
Hey,
care, man.
thanks for it.
No,
All right,
thank you. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
sounds good.
Have a good week.
You too.